Okay. Oh. Get started. Need to figure out this microphone situation with the camera. You get the prompter next month. Maybe I'll organize the desk a little differently so it's a little bit more convenient. But anyway. Oh yes, where were we? So, last stream, I gotta figure out a good way of making notes for this so that I remember where we are. Sorry. So last stream we were working on getting the UI component of this working with permissions, right? So we had drink water. So we created a user, and we can log in, get the token back, I believe, yeah. And that token does, if we go to, jot.io, right? We can open that and see that it does have identifier, which we'll worry about later. And, our email, etc. in there. So, we know we're authenticated, but we were trying to. So this is a logged in user, right? And I'm the geek. Good afternoon. Hope you're well. We're trying to do this. Oh yeah, we were getting the blocked by calls policy. That's what the first problem was. So localhost 7077 has been blocked by calls policy. We come over here. You can clearly see that. Oh, what? Nice. Well, you join on a good day then, because this is the viewer project. Yep, no worries, I'm getting warmed up anyway, so cool. Access to 7244 API. So first problem is this, right? So the headers, the headers that don't have the tokens, that could be the problem actually. Let's have a look. When the pages, we get to user service. User service has log consumption. What we do is we go back here and log. Get this. Go into our user service. Our token is set. We have default request headers. Mobile phone companies, oh dear. That can't be good. Okay, so as far as we're concerned, we are setting it, okay. Work. We get 401 unauthorized. Invalid token. Why is that being quoted? Is a question. I don't see the headers sending it. Oh, that's the options, sorry. Authorization, headers. Why is it being quoted? That's not valid, is it? Is it getting quoted on the way down? So you get user service, authenticate. We need to put logout in here. Public async task logout. Wait, local storage dot clear. It makes sense to clear, yeah. Right, the second. Yeah, to log in. Layout, have menu. If, let's see. Inject private user service. That's it. Better. Private user service. User service. Yeah, that. If user service dot authenticated. Yeah, you don't support. Yeah, so how do I do that? Well, okay, that's how I do it. Of course, private bool is authenticated. It's false. And protected override. On initialized async. is authenticated equals await user service authenticated. That can be marked as don't need that then. Then if authenticated actually we want that there, right? Have I that log out. We don't need that, do we? Not a nav item. I put a click on here. User service log out. Does that work? Actually, we need to do that a little bit differently. So, I'm not a Blazor developer, so this is a little bit of me making it up as I go along. Well, a lot of me making it up as I go along. So I'm going to learn, do what I think I need to do, and then I'll figure out if it's the right thing to do afterwards. So the goal here is, because it is authenticated, won't change. So what I'm going to do is await log out, or we're going to call this method, which will await that, and then it will is authenticated equals false, and then it will state has changed, right? I think it's telling me that. So that will hopefully, let's see if that works. I will clear local storage, which means I get my token and I can test the token again. This may error, or all sorts of issues, I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, so should be able to go back here now and log in. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we'll we maybe have some things to fix there. Yeah. Listen. Okay. Either way, it works. It doesn't need to be perfect right now, because we can worry about that afterwards. But anyway, so now I can put a breakpoint on my login. So when I'm authenticating, I want to make sure that I'm capturing the right things with the token, and then I can build on that. Okay, so test at test.com, and Bob is the password. Okay. So we have authentication, we get our response, we get our token. Our token is double quoted. There's part of the problem. So let's do this. Debug. Token equals token dot replace that with that. Required. Hi, tool. Welcome. Danny. Good day. How are you doing? I'm not messing around. I'm not trying to play around trying to edit a variable in flight. So the problem there is the token is for some reason double quoted, so I've done something wrong on the other side. So we return, login, generate token, result is a token. Okay. So at this point, this is part of the downside to doing it the way I'm doing it, you know, kind of doing it deliberately quick and not concentrating on. So if you see the token, that's not double quoted. That is a regular string, right? We go here. It's still not double quoted. And then I fire. It sends it down in the quotes. It's not it's not a JSON object, it's just a string. Oh. Right. What's the right way to deal with that? So it wraps that. As a string. What am I gonna do? That's nullable. I can't call that result. Response. So this is now going to return a response. It's going to be post.response. Post.response. New post.response. Token equals value. Why do you like that? If not result like this, return well, the reason this is so messy is because this is not using anything like it eventually will. Why don't I like that? So task from result. Why don't I like that? No way that's. Can I just return a response in this case? No, I don't like that. Oh, it's because I used. Yeah. Still learning my way around this. Why don't you like that? Oh, because that needs to be a type result of. Oh, what do I get now? Argument type is not sample type. Results, logging, post or response. So, fast endpoints definitely uses something that I'm not used to seeing. So, what I've got to do is spend some time understanding what the differences are and what I need to do when things change. Because depending on the actual thing I'm returning, I end up with different requirements. So, like this works fine when I was returning the string, but I take that now, does this complain? Right, now that complains. I'm giving it everything it oh no, I'm an idiot. Right. Now that needs to be post.response. There we go, that was healthier. And now I can remove all those. Because it's internal, so it knows what it is. Okay, that's just me being idiotic. And I don't need that now. Okay. That's just me being slow. My apologies. Okay, so when I log in now, I should get a token response. What I'm choosing to do here is ignore that I could have. Now I just need to deserialize an object to the other side, right? What I could have done is gone through the effort of trying to remove the quotes, and that would have worked just as well. But having a JSON response doesn't hurt me, and in some ways it's probably better for me anyway. So on the client side now, user service, let's get a public class login response, public string token, and it is still nullable string, right? And now when we get this back, this is the response content, and then if response dot not and false. So what we're going to do today on stream is I'm going to get this working. We're going to get some water consumption logged, and then we are going to get some of the steps that I've laid out as being next possible steps into the GitHub repository and put some guidelines up there. This project is not intended for me to do all the work. It's intended so that we can discuss things and use it as a base reference for architecture discussion, because obviously right now it's just thrown together. Right? So we can talk about how do we change this, how do we improve this, right? We can use it as a usable example. It's built off SqlLite, so we don't need to mess around with SQL servers and things like that. So it can just check out and run is the goal. And that will continue to be the goal, right? So it's in data application and API right now. And this UI, I have as blazor.wa.tbd. If you want to put a different UI on it, you're more than welcome to do a pull request with a completely different UI following that structure. And then we can test and verify different UIs and different frameworks without me having to learn everything on stream. We can still refer to those things. So that is the goal. Right, so there you go. Login response. Yeah, missing references. If login response is null, turn false. Otherwise, login response dot token. Right, so that should be in a healthier place now. Because now it knows to treat it as a string and it shouldn't be double quoted. So I think the problem was the bearer token was being double quoted. So when it got up to the server, it had quotes around it. So if we do test at test.com, Bob, right, we're logged in. And now if we do 24, nothing happens. Really? I think so. So we don't have anything in consumption right now, so should hit this breakpoint as the goal. Not hitting anything now. Okay. Log consumption. Okay, so we hit the breakpoint. F11, 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 F11. Try that again. Okay, so we do get in there. Our token's null. Why is our token null? Oh, because we haven't set it that way, have we? Okay, let's continue that. The problem is now we think we're authenticated, but we're not authenticated. So test at test.com, Bob. Right. Our token's null there. Login response, token null. Oh. This catches me every time. Does this catch anybody else every single time? Right? When you're deserializing, if someone passes you an object and it has capitalized serializer properties, yeah, I fall for that all the time. That's why that's not. Interesting side effect there, though, is that it thought I was logged in, but I wasn't logged in. Okay, so this should look healthier now. Yeah. Okay. There's our logout button. Okay. We have our token. We have our headers. Oh, here we go. We got there. So our username. We have an identity. We have some claims. One of which is our name identifier and name. Ah, interesting. So in auth 0, the name identifier is populated with our identifier, and that we ask for the name. Right now, our name is that. Okay. I love this stuff, even it's tricky to get a good result with creating auth-sources. Yeah. So for reference and welcome. Wow. Welcome back, Tiny Goliath. I didn't recognize the name, but not saying you're a first time so yeah. Welcome back. So what I'm trying to do right now is very basic auth, right? So what we've done is we've created our own service for logging a user. We create we encode the password, so we can have it. The idea of this project is not to be a good example; it's to be a growing example. So we've implemented our own auth. We've got a jot. I hate saying that word. It's JWT. We've got a JWT. We're now pulling that out, and what I've done is I've put in the pieces of auth into .NET to make sure that it still pulls it from that. So when we go back and say, hey, I want to replace it with a better example of auth, an actual more solid implementation, we can still apply that and not have to change all the code. But we needed something that's slightly auth, kind of, yeah. Okay, so here, if I just go user ID, I'm going to have a name in there. So I have my email, but I want the user ID, right? And the user ID is not terminal. Terminal's not really going to help me here. We go here, media window. It's certainly interesting. There you go. Okay, so if I go user.identity, the ID was definitely passed up. It's in the name identifier, but what claim is that? We'll look at identity. Saw it. I definitely saw it. Right. Is it just on the user? Thanks. I'm also alert while I do my own code project, so that's probably why you don't remember my username. That makes sense also. The way to learn for people that do not overused to all stuff, so it gets really tricky really fast. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the look. I appreciate the support. And that's kind of the goal of this project, because I've been working on the larger project, and I'm starting to get that feeling of people want to see the code, but then I'm like, nope, the code's not available. So this is kind of a way of melding those two worlds, where we're building something that can be shared. Everyone has access to the code. It should be friendly to check out. It should be friendly to change. People can put a UI on it, or they can tinker with the API. We'll create some actual stories from this, and people can pick them up if they want to. And we can kind of just build it as a project. So putting some basic auth in here to show that you can do it, and saying, hey, no, you shouldn't do it this way, is our aiming. Tick Tick, welcome. Morning, or good afternoon, sorry. Hope you're well. If you haven't seen Tick Tick before, yeah, another .NET streamer. He's building another platform, using a lot of Mongo and technologies I don't use. Welcome back, Rambling Geek. Well, so yeah, so this is generally working. The token is coming in. Nice, thank you. So what I've got to figure out is, how do I get the user ID out of this? You're not gonna saturate that anytime soon. So we have so we have claims. Okay, so do we have a claim types? Yes, we have name identifier. Okay, so the way we're going to get this is we're going to say user.claims dot singular default cc dot type equals claim types dot name identifier. There we go. Alright. There you go. That's what we need. So again, this is not meant to be a good practice. This is just, I'm learning a little bit as well because I don't do a lot of auth in my day-to-day. So there's a lot for me to learn in this path. There's our user ID. Right, and our username is there, right? We have to be authenticated to get into this handler. Those are good morning as well, right? We have to be authenticated. That's kind of required. So this is, I mean, technically I can do that because it's safe to do. I wish my showers were shorter somehow. Okay. Why not use ASP.identity, or is it? Purely because it's a lot more heavy than we really need right now, right? Again, the aim of this project is we're going to build something very rough, like someone might do if they were just discovering this on their own, right? Not everyone's going to go to ASP.NET Identity, pull in all the users and all those things. And then we have the option. We can do a branch later and say, here's what it would be to introduce ASP.NET and why you should or shouldn't, and then talk about those opinions. And here's what you could do to implement a third-party auth provider, which I would, at this point, I would pretty much always go with a third party. Because rolling your own identity auth stuff is just there. But again, we can use those as actual use cases to discuss, why you might want to, why you might not want to. So if I do that to start with, then that's kind of the path we're following. So right now we're following pretty much the worst possible path you could do and doing it ourselves, right? With making it look the part, because that way we can swap it out for something later and not have to even fix all this. There's only so much hacking I'm willing to let my soul take. Okay, so that will get us our user ID as a WDW type 1, right? The only reason I did it that way is to kind of show, like, Auth0 does that. Auth0 appends, and other providers do it, right? It's not uncommon. They kind of append their identifier to the front with a pipe, or an extra level of uniqueness. Not an extra level, an aim at allowing you to have unique identifiers that might overlap on just the ID. So what I've done in the other project is I've kind of created an extension method to pull these things out. Another way would be to kind of create a middleware that pulls this out in the auth and gives you an object that can be injected, which might not be a terrible way. I don't know what the right way is, so right now, let's create public class user profile, which seems weird. We've got a user. No, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's not do it. We haven't used it yet. We haven't seen how we're going to use it yet. So let's go. We have a consumption service. The consumption service will log consumption. And I don't think migrations. Oh yeah, we did. We did create it. I don't think we ran it though. So let's run the migration. So in our API, we right click on here, provider, do entity framework or update database. Yeah, okay, it should add our new table. There you go, a new table done. So with that in place, we now have the ability to use our consumption service, which should log. So if we go back to our consumption post and uncomment this, we need our user identifier. Now, I'm assuming user ID is 1 here. So what we're going to do is going to pull out the dot pass and 0. If dot try pass out int user identifier user ID. Actually, this is a user ID. See, using this normally wants you to flip these things. But when you're using the try pass, I don't like flipping them because obviously the positive means that this variable is set and then the scope. If you flip it, it gets a little bit more confusing. And then we can take user ID there. Then we're going to return yeah, it's weird that it can work though. That's return that, and that's return false. Return get false. No. Why am I returning a boolean? It just needs to be okay. Don't mind me. I know what I'm doing, honest. Oh, you can't do it that way. That's probably why I did it. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. If someone has the time to investigate what fast endpoints actually wants there, go for it. But right now I'm returning okay of boolean true all the time. See, it wants me to invert that now, right? If I invert it, right, and then return the bad case there, then it doesn't read correctly because now my user ID is inside of this if, but is valid beyond it. So, yeah, I never like doing that. So readability. Okay, let's. Ow. So for anyone joining the stream for the first time, this project is shared. It is up on GitHub, on the TBD Friends GitHub account. All the code is there. The aim is for this to be user reviewed. You're more than welcome to go and check it out. And today, by the end of the stream, we'll create an actual work list in GitHub So if anyone wants to do stuff, they can do it. Okay, did that work? So let's now go look at our database, I suppose. We'll look at the database. We have logs. In logs, we have 24 fluid ounces consumed. But I am using entity framework migrations on this so that you can build the database and whatnot and still have it run. But yeah, it is a SqlLite database. Sorry. There you go. We got consumption. Prove here, like another 16 fluid ounces. Oh. Okay. So let's get that committed. So not everything I do on the stream is going to be good practice. Not everything I do is going to be the cleanest way of doing things. That is very deliberate. I want to create discussion. I want to have discussion, or debate, even. I think that's a healthy part of software development when you can have effective debate and discussion over the software you're writing, and that's how you understand people's approach to the software. So I feel that is a necessary part. So in this one we provided a logout button, play button, consume, log consumption, provide a logout button, create a result type or login to avoid double quoted. Token, provide a log, verified it working. That makes sense though. I'm not using cloud providers for anything that involves large storage and RAM requirements. It gets super expensive. That's a lot. Okay. So there we go. There's logging the consumption. So the next thing I want to discuss, or the next thing I want to do, I think is useful, is to kind of put a goal in place, right? So oftentimes, the amount of water you need to drink every day is a personal target, right? You have to be careful you don't drink too much water. You have to be careful you drink the right amount of water when you need it. But it is good to set yourself that goal so it can give you an idea of if you're off target, etc. Because I assume, but again, without further research, that the healthier way to do it is to drink it throughout the day rather than drink it, I want to drink 64 ounces of water, and you do that in 5 minutes and then don't drink anything else for the rest of the day. Probably not the healthiest way to consume it. Setting yourself a goal, I think, is a useful thing. I think as human beings, we work better when we have some goals. So I'm just seeing what all the advice it's giving me would do. So you just keep introducing different names. That's a value test. That's the problem. Okay. Well, that can be something we revisit. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get why you wanted that one. Oh, not the other thing you wanted. All right. I'm going to do it that way for right a second. Again, I'm not trying to change that up. Okay. So, goal. Let's go to log. On a new page. I can. Should put these in here. Log preferences. I have a list of add menu razor. Razor icon. Apex, good morning. How you doing? Oh, that's not what I'm after, is it? Right? Not bad. Bad. Learning around everything. As always. Imports. Main layout. Index HTML. Bootstrap. Interesting how it all changes. The bootstrap icon, not. I could do it that way. But the girl does not respond very quickly. Okay. So, bootstrap icons. Log. Here. Here. Yeah, here. Minor, but log references. If that was. And as always, if you have questions, if you want me to stop and go over something, especially on this project, just say. If you're new to programming, it is okay to stop. If you have an opinion on how I should do something, you want to talk about it now, make sure I'm doing things because I am deliberately doing them rather than I'm just randomly doing them. It's okay to stop me and say, hey, why are you doing that? Right? So don't be afraid to say something. Note. Journal arrow down. Let's go with journal arrow down. Journal arrow down. Do these actually work here? I don't know. This is my first time. This is the first time I've used Blazor WebAssembly, by the way. So I've got a lot to learn here. No, they do not. Preferences, log, home. Home just diverts to log. So, and again, when I put this up, right, what I've done is I've created blazor.wa.tbd. So blazor.webassembly and my initials. The reason being, if you want to do your own UI for this, if you want to put, you have an opinion how it should be done in Vue or Svelte or React or Angular even, you're more than welcome to create another project in here that is that, and hook it into the same API and make it work the same. That is an option. So, from a learning perspective, we'll build an API and you can tinker with the UI, right? It's a good practice. So why don't icons work? And how much time should I give it before I actually add icons into Blazor WebAssembly? I assume it's a compilation thing. Is a copy. You need only copy bootstrap icons from. Right? Hold on, why have I got to create them? Oh. So, app CSS, that's fine. Click on an icon, that's fine. That's bootstrap. We got, that's in nav menu razor CSS. I'm out, good morning. Hope you're well. That's actually this CSS. I guess I'm not understanding what is data there? Ah. Okay. Okay. So we need .bi gear fill nav menu. We're going to copy in this here. Okay. I get it now. What you did there. We're copying in. That won't work, will it? Background image. Oh. That won't work because I've got to encode it. Honestly say I've never done this before. Download SVG. Nope, that won't help me. base64, the XML should do it. Doesn't look like it's just base64, does it? No, it's not. Data image SVG plus XML. And then it's URL encoded. That's all it is. URL encoded. That. Oh, how do I URL encode this thing quickly? If you want to put a link, just drop a link in the Discord. Don't mind that. Oh, there we go. Thank you. This is a closed Discord, I don't know what. You're in Coda.io, there you go, thank you. That's something I do very often. There we go, that was healthier. Thank you very much. So if we now go back, nav menu, and replace that with that, what does it look like? An image. Oh, that's, hold on. That's not fully URL encoded, that, is it? It's encoded the freaking, encoded just the XML tags, nothing else. Did not swear that, by the way. Almost. Feels okay, Mr. Anhorn. How do you do this? You use Blazor, but it's asking for the SVG. But it doesn't want the full URL encoded version. It just wants the arrows encoded. I've never seen this in all my years. Awesome. This is that Blazor WebAssembly template. Save the SVG to file. I shouldn't get stuck on stuff like this. This is annoying. Download SVG. What? It said open with Visual Studio Code. You would not understand the assignment. Yes. That's funny, I was just saying that yesterday. I was on called Excomil. I gotta figure out how to say that word. I was on a stream yesterday at Angular Dev, and he was going through the effort of trying to install a new framework. And there was 3 different ways of installing the framework. I'm like, well, I get options, but at some point options become their own mess. It is a neat way to get rid of image popping, because it's embedded straight there. But they only encode the arrows. Yeah. And I get options, and there's a whole, how to get SVG data into URL for background image CSS. Yep. Data URI. No. So we take that, go here. No. What? That is precisely nothing. Oh, no, it did it. I mean, it did it, didn't it? No, it didn't. It did it the same way. A64 encoded it. That's not a data URI. Well, data URI schema is to build URLs that embed small data objects. Does it work? That's actually a better question. Does it work even if I do it that way? I don't care if it looks correct. It's not like I'm going to read it anyway. Oh. Oh no, because that's... Huh. That's not an image. SVG to CSS. You're kidding me. That's still wrong, isn't it? No, it works. No, it still doesn't work. Yeah, so if we replace that with that, and take everything in there, that shouldn't matter. And replace everything that is that with that. No, the selection. How do you want to replace? Selection. There you go. Okay. Place all them. Then save that. Verify that doesn't work. Double check. Just to make sure that I don't miss anything by doing that. I don't think I do. Oh, still not working. Okay, so now we need to replace all in here. We need to replace all of those with %3c. Place all, and all of them with %3e. Place all. Still not work. So what have I not changed? Right, at this point, oh, that was right. Okay, so you think, okay, that would make sense, yeah. That's not drawing anything, is it? No, that's not drawing anything. It's gotta be something I'm missing. I just don't know what I'm missing. As far as the SVG looks, that looks exactly the same now. But hold on. This. I mean, this is saying that should work. So let's take this back to how it was. Right. And let's do the white fill again. I'm saving, by the way. I'm not forgetting that part. Does it need the SVG data wrong? Sorry, I'm looking into your message there. Well, no, it should have data/image XML, right? So the encoding is one thing. We just tried it with and without the encoding. The quote shouldn't matter. That's just to make sure it doesn't escape itself. Fill is correct. But what am I doing wrong is that I'm definitely willing to believe it's me. Right? Hold on. Background image. Background image, URL. Yeah. I mean, link directly or placing SVG code as a source, but you see their example does do the encoding. Could be. Well, I mean, I'm looking at an example, right? So, Bootstrap. This name doesn't exist. right? So hold on, let's do this. Let's go journal. Let's pick a filled example, because that's not a filled example, right? Let's pick one that definitely has here fill. Okay, let's copy that. Go to their tool again. That's that. White. Hit that. That's actually gear. Oh, tell me I didn't put the color here. Working. Make sure I'm looking at the right thing. The nav menu. By gear fill nav menu. I've got the BI. The BI part is showing the positioning of it, so that's fine. That's definitely there. The other one isn't there, so that's fine. Do that replacement again. So greater than, less than, right? We try one of theirs. Icons. Icon. Yeah, that's where I am. Yeah, actually, this is one of those, yeah. Fortran, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. So, I'm willing to believe I'm being dense, right? That's not my concern. I'm not trying to be stubborn here. This is just something that anybody else could come across. And this stops you bloating, right? Because I'm not going to include the entire icon set. And nice. This does stop me bloating the application by having a large image set that I don't need and don't use 95% of the icons in it for, or even more, right? But so I'm willing to persevere here. I just don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Because even taking their example, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's make sure that it's not just... Right, if I do this, let's make sure that it is going to respect the icon change, right? Right. So that's an icon that does work now, but doesn't work there. So I'm chasing my tail there a little bit, because now, even with that, using an icon that does exist, right? Because I took the list one, that is an existing example. And again, I'll just prove that out. The house one, we know that works because it's displayed on the top level, right? Still doesn't show. Okay. And again. So is it a compilation thing? Nope. Okay. Preferences. Log. No errors in the page. Like, close it down. Right. So nothing's erroring in the page. There's no output. It's not a compilation problem. Because I know that hot reloading Blazor in Rider does not work as well as Visual Studio, right? So I know that that could. But what am I missing? Do I have to reload a cache of some form? Right? Does it store a local cache or something? There's my token. Right? Test@test.com. Bob. That's working. Cookies. .NET resources. Oh. Again, I haven't played with Blazor WebAssembly before, so this could be a side effect of Blazor WebAssembly. It could be something I have to learn in terms of how I deal with, like, again, resources make sense. Because everything has to get compiled. Can you jump to the CSS file from the element in the element tab? So, from here. Oh, yeah, sorry. What do you mean? It dawned on me, right? It's like, oh, yeah. That's not in there, is it? If I click on navigation, that's home. Yeah, the background image. But then when I click on this one, yeah, nothing. Like it's not doing it. There's the image. Cache CSS application. So all I was doing is Control R, right? Control F5. I probably need to reload it now, don't I? Rebuild. Okay. So normally in development, maybe I'll just need to check the development mode because I don't use. There you go. Control F5. Disable cache. There you go. Okay, so let's try that other again. So let's go and get journal. Journal arrow down. Copy that SVG. That's white. We're going to have PI, journal, arrow down, have menu, image. Thank you, Ms. Ramhorn. Okay, so now we go back over here. So other than there is a control R for reload. Disable cache, there's nothing there. Control F5. Now really? Wow. There you go. Well, that was more painful than it should have been. So let's add a preferences. Right. Preferences. Okay. So in here, we are going to actually let's go over here first in the API. Endpoints. Let's create preferences endpoint. Let's create a host. The first one, because we want to save the preferences, right? At this point, I'm going to mimic this class because I just don't want to spend a great deal of time writing this out. Okay, so we're going to put this in the consumption service still, and we're going to have parameters, right? The parameters in this instance will be target included ounces, right? Yeah, so this is going to look the same. This is going to be preferences. Everything's going to get included there. The only difference is going to be in the code. So we do need our user still, right? We still do need this. The difference is we're going to need to store this instead of, right? And we'll call that set preferences right now. right? Target fluid analysis. So again, this is not going to be the best way of doing this, right? It's not going to be the cleanest. Certainly not going to be the most well thought out. My goal is to get this stuff in the same way you might do if you're trying to develop an application quickly. Sometimes that's going to look rougher because I'm deliberately blowing past things I know I should do. Ow. Sorry, I've picked up tennis elbow, and it hurts a lot. Especially when I sit coding for too long because my arm's in the same position. Okay. So the consumption service will save it. We're going to have a model for preferences. Right. Again, I'm not thinking too much about this. Right. Except I can't just bundle through this one. That's called preference. The object is called preferences because it has our preferences. There's a table. If we call a table preferences, it'll only have one row, right? This is something we definitely want to revisit later on, because this isn't stunning. What I'm about to do, right? Actually, no, it will be preference. Well, it's kind of preferences on the preferences table. It would be because this would have multiple users potentially. So, int user ID. I was thinking of this as kind of a global preferences, but it's not. It's a single preferences. So my apologies. User ID, public, int, target. Now here in consumption, we created fluid analysis. So yeah, target fluid analysis. And if you weren't here for the previous stream regarding this project, we did get into a bit of a debate as to what unit to store. Kind of went with the decision of do this now and then come back later, because then it would be a good idea to, hey, how do we refactor this? How do we change this out? Because we've kind of hard coded ourselves into capturing fluid ounces. But if you're not in the US, or you're in a country that uses metric, then this isn't quite logical, is it? So, how would you store, milliliters? Right. Public, date time. Okay. So we have a preference, configuration. What do we do there? Yeah, but that's fine because our context isn't really too different right now. And we need a public use set. Preferences. So the weird thing is here again, plural. This would be confusing to a non-native English speaker as well. These are our preferences for the user. We call it a preference object. It's not a preference. It's not a single preference. It's going to be a set of preferences potentially. Right now there is only one preference. So it actually does work grammatically. But this is one of the objects. Most schemas you'll find is one object that is a bit more of a pain than other objects. Either it conflicts with your domain. I previously worked in collecting data on private aircraft, and you collect models. You collect information about models. So if you want a model for the model, you've got the model, right? And it constantly conflicts if you're working in field service, right? Service is a term, right? So a services service, right? There's oftentimes conflicting words in your domain that match against something in the database. Preference is one of the objects that sticks out being slightly off. If I called that preferences though, then this would want to do preference. When it does to the pluralization, preferences table would be stored in preferences. It would double pluralize it and mess it up. I know that from experience. Okay, so we can do that. Migrations, consumption repository, log function. Again, this isn't stunning, but again, this is aimed at being a discussion rather than a need. Let's create a migration, add migration, add preferences. Let's run the update as well, so don't forget. There we go. Okay, so we've got our migrations in place, we've got our table in place. So now our repository. Let's do. No, it's not consumption repository, is it? Yeah, it is right now. So we're going to get our context. We're going to see if the context, if it exists, it's null. Preferences, not last update, that. Dated on. Created on. Context. Let's save changes. We're going to add our preferences in there, or update them if necessary. So now in our consumption service, we're literally going to turn around repository dot set preferences. Okay. So if you're building something quickly, right? If you're building something to solve a quick problem, this approach of doing it is still overkill, right? I'm still adding in too many layers, but I'm adding in layers enough to create discussion points. I'm not doing this because it's funny, right? This is not a stunning way to do this, right? So yeah. Okay, so that's our preferences. We don't need user, so for right this second I can go away. Same as well as post, I can get rid of user. That's just the name. We can talk about whether we need that later on. Again, trying to cut out, I don't need it. Right? Okay, so that's preferences. So in here, this is going to look very similar. So I'm literally going to copy and paste it. I'm not a big believer in that, but it is. But in this case, it's I'm being pragmatic. I want to move this forward. Again, it's about discussion. It's not about getting this perfect. So, save preferences. User service. So you can already see there's some really conflicting things in this, right? Save preferences in target fluid ounces, right? That. Post as that. That's going to be preferences. That's going to be target fluid ounces. Again, right now, how does that work? Does that serialize that? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. I'm posting it as JSON, so yeah, I'm taking that object. It's going to make an object out of that and call it what it is. So take that name and pass it forward. Okay. Save preferences here. Save preferences. That's going to be target fluid analysis. Okay. Good run. Preferences log look exactly the same almost. Let's say I want to set 120 fluid ounces. Save that. Let's see how good it was. There's our preferences. There we go. Let's go back and update it. 128. There you go. So we can save. We can do that. We go back to log. Right here is 0, right? So let's do this. Over here. And let's make sure I make different commit. Okay, so nav menu, we added add new icons, added options for log preferences, them, create migration for preferences, and then context, we added model, added a preference model by context. And then straight through just implemented and storing preferences. So everything's been done on main right now, right? Mainly because it's just more practical for me to do it. Not obviously the best way for sharing the project, but there we go. Okay, so let's cut over a little bit here to something worth talking about now. Oh, LTV develop. Go into PPD friends. So Water Drink Water is this project. What I want to do now is start putting some of the things in that other people can do. Start accepting ERs and maybe talk about things that we can add in, etc. So create issues. So to create the first issue, preferences does not load the existing preference when showing screen. Okay. Navigate away from preferences. Turn the option, the value 0, even the database export. Expected behavior. Should show the entered. Test. Navigate to preferences. Set a value of 64. Validate the database as reference. 64 target fluid. Navigate to log. I should show 4. Okay. UI. Enhancement. It technically is an enhancement because it doesn't exist, right? So let's talk about guidelines. So as in open source software is open source. You can go and fork this, do your stuff, and then make a PR back against this, and you'll be fine, right? I'm not opening up access to this. In the past, what I've done is I've given certain people access. I don't think we need to do that in this project. If you are interested in contributing, if you're interested in adding your own pieces to this, I'm happy for those PRs. All the PRs will be reviewed on the stream, right? I'm not going to accept a PR off stream unless it does something like closes a really bad security bug, or something that is worth learning from quickly, but the stream isn't that. So for the most part, with little exception, I'll say, all PRs will be reviewed on stream. This is not something where you have to know what you're doing fully, right? If you want to commit some code and do a PR and get it reviewed, that is perfectly fine. I'm not expecting everyone to be like, I don't want to expect someone to go and just overhaul the entire thing. Yeah, I could pull them in and I just want to make sure that I'm clear that I could potentially pull a PR in there and commit it in without waiting for the stream, but yeah. So the goal with this is for learning, right? So if you have an idea on how you want the UI to look, or you think, hey, I can do that same thing in React, or I want to go and learn how to do that in React, go and make a React client, make it do exactly what this one's doing right now, right? And commit it. Or do a PR for it. We can review it on stream. Now, my React skills aren't quite where they should be, or anywhere near. So that might take a little bit of a challenge for me to read through, but that's what I want to do, right? I want us to say, hey, here's a different way of doing it. Does it look good? Are we happy? Yeah, we can pull that in as an alternative client, right? So the repository can grow with different clients and prove that, you can just reskin something essentially. But I want to make sure that everyone understands this, this isn't about experience, right? This isn't about you have to be experienced to commit something to this. This could just be a PR you want to do to fix something or clean something up. I'm not looking for someone to go, here's how to make it all clean architecture. That is not the goal, right? The goal is not one of, hey, everybody go off and start building this in the most perfect way, right? The goal is to kind of bit by bit improve it, analyze why it is changed, why it is bad, what's bad about it, what can we fix, what can we clean up, how can we refactor it, right? There's no right or wrong way to do that. So, no major PRs, right? I.e., don't do a PR with I made it EDD, or here's it implemented. Right, I don't want to see here's the right architecture, right? Because that's a matter of opinion and a matter of choice as to what the right architecture is. So we've put in an architecture, it's a poor architecture, it's got some problems, but it's got some problems so we can kind of learn from it. Because this isn't unrealistic in how someone might actually go about developing, right? If they've learned some of the pieces, but not all the pieces of how to write code, of how to structure code, etc., they might have put this together. I know I did, but this isn't uncommon for something I was doing. I've only recently started to follow that clean architecture style, and some of the pieces have twigged, and even that is, you know, the matter of debate amongst the people who say this is their right way of clean architecture. So if I start taking PRs because someone's ripped all this out and replaced it with all different things, then that's not really valuable to everyone, right? We can piecemeal those things in over time, right? So no major PRs. Welcome to make what do I want to say here? So UIs, okay, those are larger commits, but you're more than welcome to make a UI commit, right? And what I've done there is put my initials on, right? So welcome to make alternative UI. Add under clients folder. Name technology dot initials, right? That's so we can clearly see, oh, that's, you know, react.ap, right? Or react.rg or angular dot whatever, you know, so that we can kind of see the technology and a quick indicator of who did it. But with that, you can't change right? You can't change the back end, because if you change the back end, the other clients break, right? So you're not allowed to make any further changes to them. Other than calls, because each one's going to go on its own port, right? Or give me a really good reason in the PR as to why, but in general, let's go with that. If you feel you found a bug or an issue, make an issue, make a PR for the issue, right? Are the client restricted to client side only? Good point. As long as it's a client that connects to the API, it doesn't really matter how it's done, right? I think in Blazor server. Or like Maui clients or Android, like. I mean, either way, clients, right? If you have a suggestion as to how I can turn that so it's a little clearer or a little friendlier, let me know. If you feel you found a bug, an issue, or an issue, create issue on the GH board, make a PR issue. in BFF can be learned using a server-side framework. Always Apex, thank you very much for stopping in. Thank you for the contributions as always. Have a great day at work. Take care. I was thinking backend for front end can be learned using a server-side framework. Okay. Still a concept that doesn't sit right in my head. I know the phrase now, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's a client, it doesn't matter how it's done. Just can't change the server side. Does not change API to accommodate, right? So I suppose it is a regular open source project. It's just like some guidelines. I don't want to make this look like it's completely anti-open source. It's not anti-open source. The goal is to help learn and grow. So it's kind of a accompaniment of the stream rather than standalone, right? Companies. All PRs will be reviewed on stream. There's no right or wrong, bad or good. Right. If the changes you're suggesting aren't what we as a stream, or I mean me as a streamer specifically, and then anybody else who contributes, right, deem like they're moving the project forward, then yeah, the PR, will get rejected, right? Again, this could be a project that is the first time you've done a PR, right? It could be a project where you've identified there's a problem, you can fix the problem, right? This issue that I put in, that requires more than just a UI fix, right? So, if that's a major PR, so maybe I should make that no major standalone, right? That's an opinion rather than an actual improvement. You're more than welcome. Right? You can go ahead and do that, right? I know that Unicus had said that there's some inconsistencies with the result pattern already. So that would be worthwhile making sure that's, standardized. So yeah, worth doing. Obviously, as we learn from this, if people do want to commit, if people do want to contribute or have ideas on what to do, then they're more than welcome to do it. But I'm not going to say this is the only rule list, right? Added guidelines. So the entire purpose of this project is one of learning, one of growth, is to make sure that things that I cover on the Agile project management platform stuff, they're hard to follow along with sometimes because I've done so much off stream, or I am continuing to work on that. I do have the idea in my head, and it is difficult to follow along because I'm not necessarily not sharing that code, right? This is meant to bridge that gap and allow us to talk about things such as, how do we reconfigure this? How do we clean this up? How do we add some more tests? Because right now there's very few unit tests, right? There's some tests, but not a lot of tests, right? So you're more than welcome to go and add unit tests if you want to. If you feel that they're necessary or useful, add unit tests. Use it as a practice for unit tests. Experiment with some styles, right? That's what this project's meant to be. It goes with the stream because you can watch the stream, you can understand what's been discussed, how it's been added to, how it's been updated, and then you can go off and do your own thing with context of everything else. And I think that is one of the important things is when you're working on something, having a goal, having a project to play with, and having some context of how it's going to work and how it's designed. The end goal of this project is something that's useful, right? The end goal is, hey, I have an app that I can go into and I can say, hey, I've just drank some water. Here we go. And it tracks that and tells me how much I've drunk over the course of the day, but also notifies me if I've not drunk enough water or if I haven't logged any consumption in a while. Am I off target, right? So the idea is to take this to an actual application that is useful. And then those clients and stuff, we could all have our different versions of it and host the API somewhere. I don't care. But yeah, there we go. So, that'll be me for the stream today. I will return tomorrow, my goal. This week may change a little bit. I may have some other plans I need to accommodate. There is intended to be a coding challenge later in the week. That may move to Thursday from Friday, or it may become Saturday. But I will update. However, if you are interested and you have not been on the stream before, if you go to the Discord, there's a link below on the cards on YouTube and on Twitch. There is a poll in the coding challenges panel. In there's a poll for 3 different options. Those are 3 options that I've picked at relative random. They looked interesting. I read the blurb at the top and then was like, yep, that looks interesting, and put it in. I've not gone on to what I'm trying to implement, how I'm trying to implement it. The goal of those coding challenges is one of, I've never looked at this before. Let me look at the requirements, build up what it's asking me to do, clean it up, refactor it, make it better, and hopefully by the end of the stream come out with a solution that I'm saying, yep, that's worth it. That's 3 hours worth of work. It does what it needs to do. So, please go and vote if you're interested and you're following the stream. Then, if you don't like the coding challenges, I'd also like to know, because again, I don't want to turn a load of people away from the stream because I'm doing something they don't enjoy seeing. I'm always constantly trying to figure out how to balance the content, make sure it is fun for me, because if it's not fun for me, that's going to be really hard to watch. It's engaging for you, so that if I'm doing something you haven't done before, you can learn from that as well, such as figuring out how caching works in browsers, which took way too long. Thank you, Mr. Anhorn, again for the assist there. I didn't think that would be a problem. I got spoiled by other tools, and there's all these things that I want to do on the stream, but again, they're only useful from my perspective if I'm collaborating and I'm discussing, because it's what I enjoy the most about software development. I enjoy a collaborative environment. I feel I learn faster in those sorts of scenarios. So, thank you very much for joining me. I'll take a quick look, but I don't think going to raid out today. Very welcome as always. Thank you. Did I miss a stream of yours? Or have you not streamed in a little while? Because I didn't get any notifications. I haven't seen you go. Ah, okay. Just checking. I don't want to be... Because notifications are flaky at the best of times. Although you normally post in the Discord when you do. So... Anyway. Well... I hope that clears up soon and you get back to things. So yeah, I'm going to end up here. I'm not going to raid out today. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you again tomorrow. I will be back and we will continue on with this and continue adding things until people want to, contribute. So take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll. Nice. I'll look out for it. Okay, all. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.